Do you enjoy listening to multiplayer podcast content? Do you want to help support the show so we can continue to independently deliver 2 shows each week? Do you also want access to our exclusive Discord server so you can come game with us and make suggestions for future shows? Well, what are you waiting for? Head on over to multiplayersquad.com or click on the link in the podcast description to come join us on Patreon. We appreciate all of you for listening and subscribing. Now let's get into today's episode.
Hello, you are listening to the Multiplayer Podcast. We are a gaming podcast that breaks down different video games and talks about the good, the bad, and the spooky.
That was a good spooky, Todd.
That was good. That was good. Tonight is our very, very special episode because 1, we're talking about a great game, and 2, because this is our Halloween episode. I didn't give it away, earlier with the whole, spooky bit. Tonight, we are talking about Phasmophobia. First off, before we jump into this episode, am I saying that name right?
Yes, you are saying it correct. Phasmophobia.
Okay. Yeah, you drew out the phas a little bit, but, Phasmophobia.
Phasmophobia?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
And if you didn't know, the definition of phasmophobia is a fear of ghosts.
There goes my whole quiz show that I had in the middle of it.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Spoiler alert.
It was all definition based.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. All right, before we jump into the game, let me introduce my 2 favorite Ghostbusters. Paul?
Give us a sign. What is your name? Where are you? I'm done.
And Josh.
That'll make more sense later in the episode.
No, won't.
I call dibs on Dan Aykroyd's character.
Who's Dan Aykroyd?
From Ghostbusters.
Oh my goodness, Todd.
Which one is he?
It's Dan Aykroyd's character. I don't know.
I don't buy it.
It's the one that's not Bill Murray or
Harold Ramis. Actually, if I could claim a character in that movie, I would legit go with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
I call Slimer.
That fits.
That's a good call.
Yeah. Paul likes to slime things, so
If the slime fits.
This show started weird, man.
Do you remember how for like a decade plus, Slimer was the mascot for like High C juice boxes? You remember that?
Yeah. Oh, they had the
great.
Slimer flavor.
Yeah.
What was the Slimer Punch or something? Ectoplasm Punch. Ectoplasm
There
Punch.
you go.
Boom.
I actually wasn't allowed to watch Ghostbusters until I was an adult because I wasn't allowed to watch it as a child.
Define adult.
Yeah.
Probably like 17 plus is probably when I first saw Ghostbusters.
So, all right. Do you enjoy Ghostbusters?
It's fine. Sure.
But he doesn't love it.
Don't love it.
All right, guys. Patreon. We have 2 new Patreon members that, correct me if I butcher their names, but the first one is Name is Required.
You butchered it.
Which they never filled it out.
It's a great name.
Mm-hmm. And then the second one, Dylan Despian.
Dylan, my man. Had a good chat with Dylan today. He's a Rocket League person, and he's a Witcher 3 fan. Or about to be. He's about to be.
He's fine, I guess.
Didn't he just join today?
He did.
That was today, right? Yeah.
I did warn him that you two would not share the Witcher love.
Yeah. I mean, I never played The Witcher, but I recognize it's probably a good game.
I like that I have to give warning messages to new squad mates. I mean, I tell everybody how great you guys are. I tell them how much Paul loves Rocket League.
You know what? Yeah, new Patreon members. They join the server. Josh is like, beware of Paul and Todd. And then I'm like, beware of Josh and Paul because they hate Halo and they're going to
and then they're like,
destroy
why
your
do you
soul.
think I
Eat your
joined this
soul.
server?
I don't know.
Wait, I don't want to have my soul eaten.
There are several people on the server, dozens of people on the server who appreciate Halo. I'm going to leave it at that.
Enjoy those dozens of people on the planet, Todd.
All right, Josh, tell the listeners more about our Discord.
Oh, I thought you meant about me trolling you guys. All right,
No.
fine. So, well, Discord, if you don't know what Discord is and you're a gamer, then you're seriously missing out. But I think what Todd meant is Patreon. And so for those of you that don't know, Patreon is a way of saying, like, I like you guys. I like the podcast. I want more. And the way you get more is you go to patreon.com, or a better way is multiplayersquad.com. And then what happens is you pledge. It's a monthly pledge. You say, hey, for as little as $5.
That's what? A coffee?
For the price of a cup of coffee.
Yeah. I feel like we should be playing some sad music in the background right now.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah, you keep going.
Some Sarah McLachlan.
Do you want to support a podcaster? Do you love the multiplayer gaming podcast?
Look at Todd. Look how hungry he is. Buy this man a sandwich.
I haven't eaten in weeks.
Yeah. But
Oh,
but no,
jeez.
yeah. So I mean, there's different amounts that you can pledge, but as little as $5 a month, you get to be part of the squad. You get access to our Discord server. We love gaming with people. We interact there all the time. Paul is always making people hungry with his pictures of food. I mean,
Yep.
it's really an
All right.
awesome. What?
I was confused by the caramelized onions.
Oh, what's confusing about caramelized onions, Todd?
There was no after. That was the before
Oh,
photo.
I had no
There
after.
was no after photo.
What do you want? Like an
It
empty
was
bowl?
just No. The onions on something.
Yeah, yeah.
You just don't have a bowl of caramelized onions. You put it on something.
I would eat a bowl of caramelized onions, but they were on. This is what's more important, Josh. Who cares about Patreon? we put them on patty melts, grilled them up. They were delicious. We ate them too quick. I couldn't take any photos. They were already gone.
Paul and I did both mention that we could eat just a bowl of caramelized onions too.
So this is the content you're going to get. If
So
you come
yeah,
join us
exactly.
on Discord.
If you want actual just nonsense content like this, come join us. Check it out, multiplayersquad.com.
Yeah, you can come talk to us on Discord. You can come game with us. We'll always hit up the channel, seeing if anyone wants to play Overwatch or Warzone or something else. So it's a great way to come interact with us on top of hearing the show.
And then, Josh, separate from Patreon, we love reviews of the podcast. We mainly pull them from Apple Podcasts. So do you want to pull like a random review?
Sure, yeah. Let me look through here. And while I'm looking, I mean, reviews
Spin the wheel of reviews.
Yeah, a phenomenal way to help the show as well.
Reviews.
If you're listening, you haven't left us a review, please take the time to leave us one. It really does help out immensely. All right, I'm spinning the wheel here, guys. Click, 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 click,
He's got them all printed out on a giant wheel.
click, click, click. Oh, and hey, how about this? Look, all right. Well, this one comes in from Nonstop Dr. Dan 2, and it's titled Star Wars Squadron Episode, one of our
Ooh,
more
wow.
recent episodes. And this review, this is a great review, guys. It says, "I am a simple man. I hear Josh. I laugh." Guys, what are the chances that review came up on the review wheel?
Josh, did you write this review?
I mean, I do make myself laugh a lot, so it's possible, but no, I did not.
Yeah, that's a great review. I mean, a little biased, but
Hey, that was completely random.
It's a great review. And thank you, Dr. Dan, too.
Yep. Thank you, Dr. Dan.
This is where I'm trying to figure out if he's complimenting me or if he's like insulting me.
It might be.
This could be insulting, where it's like I hear Josh and then I just laugh because he's so stupid.
Josh, you're really funny, but looks aren't everything. Like it could be like that. Like I laugh at these terrible takes.
Right. It could be.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think it's the other way.
The
So.
Witcher,
Don't insult the Witcher 3 crowd, Todd.
You will regret it.
Yeah. They will come out. For the record, I am not on Team Todd in trashing The Witcher. I like The Witcher. I have not had the time to devote to completing it, but I always enjoyed it.
Sure. All right. Are you guys ready to talk about Phasmophobia?
Let's do it.
All right, guys. Phasmophobia. It's an interesting game. It's unlike no other game I've played. Do we want to start with a brief overview of what the game is?
Yes, scariest game ever. That's the overview.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Do you want?
That's good.
You want me to add a little more to that, Todd?
I was going to leave it like a cliffhanger for a little while, like kind of.
And then we'll see you next week. Where'd you think that cliffhanger was going?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we'll dive into the details. Broad strokes, it is a ghost hunting game. So you can play anywhere from 1 to 4 people. It is co-op if you play with multiplayers. And basically you just go into either a house or an asylum or a high school, some kind of setting. You use various tools at your disposal to try to locate spectral activity. You also have to use some process of elimination to figure out what kind of spirit you're dealing with. And also the ghosts can interact with you. They can even hunt and maybe even kill you. So there's a little bit of an element of figuring out what kind of ghost this is and solve those questions and then get out. And then depending on how much you accomplish, you will earn money, which you can then use to buy more tools for the next ghost hunt. If you die, you lose the items that you had there with you. And basically it's just rinse and repeat. You can just keep going on ghost missions and solving more mysteries.
It should be said, this game is very dark. It is terrifying. They do a phenomenal job of audio. Like, you hear sounds all the time that freak you out, man. Like doors opening,
telephones ringing.
Yeah, like these ghosts are scary ghosts. It's
spooky.
Ooh, that would be a great word to describe ghosts, Todd.
Why hasn't anyone thought of it before?
Made it up.
I know. They're spooky ghosts. I like it. I'm going to use that.
Never thought of the word spooky. Oh, they're like, Josh, so by a dark game, the content is like a little dark, like you're dealing with ghosts and like, like you're trying to get them out and interact with them. So like a little dark, but then like the game is physically not bright.
Correct. Yes, it's very atmospheric. You have a flash, like every location you go into is pitch black, and you have a flashlight that you can bring with you to light things up, but they're not super bright. So you are going to be frantically shining your flashlight around into dark corners while a ghost may pop up behind you and make you scream like a small child, like it did to me.
When literally a small child was chasing you.
Yeah. It's
around the furniture in the room as Paul watched.
Oh, well, I was snapping pictures. Josh,
yeah, Paul was taking pictures of me.
Josh was literally kiting a ghost around a kitchen table, and I'm just sitting back. I'm just clicking, taking pictures, getting more money.
Because you get money per photo of the ghost. So, it was for the team's best interest for Paul to be taking the photos.
Yeah. And one thing that we haven't really mentioned yet, the thing that hooked me, because this game was recommended on our Discord server by That Cat Gaming, and I didn't know a whole lot about this game yet because it just released a little less than a month ago, I believe. And he had said that it incorporates your microphone and you talk to the ghosts, and sometimes they talk back. And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. I haven't really heard of that in a game. And so that is one element as well. You can actually communicate with the ghosts. Sometimes they'll answer your questions, which is pretty interesting.
But it's it's very scary when you're walking around and you're like, what's your name? How old are you? Blah, blah, blah. And you're like 3 minutes into just talking to nothing. And then it's like 27. And then you're like, whoa, okay,
I don't like
I'm out of here.
Answers.
Or it'll say die.
Yeah.
Die. Yeah. That's pretty crazy.
I don't like that.
I'm
having nightmares already.
All right, so there's a voice box. There is a writing journal. So there's a journal you can buy. You can set it on a surface, or even if you're carrying it, it can happen where the ghost will write in it, like right in front of you, and you can see like the ghost writing in the journal.
Basically, you have all these items at your disposal. And when you hop into a match, you start off in the back of like an RV. And so you have a choice to pick up some of these items and you carry them into the house to locate where the ghost might be and what they're doing. And so the ghost journal is kind of an interesting one. So once you locate where the ghost's primary room is, then you can run these various tests. And some ghosts will write in journals, other ones will not. And so that's kind of a neat one because you can put a journal down. If you want, you can try to talk to the ghost, tell the ghost to write in the journal, maybe leave for a minute and come back, and maybe they'll write on it. And I thought one of the coolest things that we saw was in one of our runs, Josh was actually carrying the journal and a ghost wrote in it while you were holding it.
Yeah, that freaked me out too.
And it wrote like die, die, die.
Yeah, why couldn't he
like
just
that.
be like, I like you, welcome to my house?
Right.
It was
Take off your shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And none of these ghosts are kind. We are not dealing with Casper here. These are demons or poltergeists or wraiths, banshees. These are all, they are not malevolent. Wait, malevolent is good, right?
Benevolent.
Benevolent is good. Yeah,
they are malevolent.
Yes, there you go. Was that coming up in the dictionary quiz later, Todd?
Yeah.
Did I just fail?
All right, we're 2 questions short. So with this game, there's like this really cool, like Paul was leading to it, like you find out where the ghost is, the general area, and then you have to figure out what the ghost is. Like there are 6 or
I think there's like
8
or 10. Yeah.
Really?
I want to say there's probably
different
10
type
different
of ghosts.
I think it's about 10. Yeah.
And then you have a dozen different experiments that you can run to try and get the ghost, and any combination of 3 different experiments. So if you get like, if it's ghost writing, and then, you know, let's just say that EKG, is that what the little hand stick is?
No.
That's a heart test.
What is it?
Yeah. You got to hook up all the sensors to your heart, run on a treadmill.
What's the hand thing?
EMF,
EMP?
electromagnetic
EMF.
frequency.
Okay, EMF. There we go.
Also a great band from the 80s.
Yeah!
Get out of here.
You're unbelievable, Josh.
So any combination of positive test results will lead you, or for 3 of them, they'll lead you to a single ghost. So what you're trying to do is run all these tests on the room, on the area and figure out which ones the ghost responds to, and then you can figure out what the ghost is.
Exactly. So you can pull out your journal at any point, and the various tabs will tell you information about the ghosts. And so that can be helpful because it might say, if you think it might be this type of ghost, well, they will only talk if there is one person around. They will be shy and they won't talk to groups. And so it's kind of interesting. So if they have a positive test result, you pop that in under a different tab under evidence. And as you put it in, it will auto eliminate ghosts for you. And so basically, as you start to figure out evidence, it narrows down what ghosts it could be. And then you can read information about them, and then you'll know what other tests to run to try to figure out who it is. And sometimes on a run, you might just run out of time. Like it just took too long to figure out what room has the ghost activity. And so you just narrow it down best you can. In some of our runs, we just had to take a stab at it where it's like, well, it's either a wraith or a spirit. So I think it might be a spirit, and you might just have to guess.
And that's interesting. There is no time limit for a match. So you run out of time by the sanity on your character going down too low, or the ghost just gets too angry and too violent that it's not worth going into the house anymore, because you might lose your stuff if you die. Difficulty with this game is kind of set less on the ghost or finding it in that, and more of the area you have to track down the ghost. What makes this game fun?
It being absolutely terrifying, and then experiencing that with your friends.
Terrifying or spooky?
Yeah, I think for most people, the fun is in solving, because really the core of this game, it's really just you playing detective, and it's ultimately a puzzle game at its core, but the atmosphere is very spooky, and trying to navigate these horror settings with your friends. And if you are the type of personality that can just buy in and get freaked out by the game, and you don't want to be alone, and you buy into the atmosphere, then it can be a very scary game and very thrilling at the same time. And being scared inside these houses together, it's like putting yourself into a horror movie.
I feel like that's what this game does, is it delivers nothing for 5-10 minutes, and then it slowly ramps up. You hear stuff, you start experiencing stuff, and then boom, there's a shadow figure or a child running at you, or a lady with from The Ring with hair in front of her face, and you've been trying to figure out where they are, and then you're like, oh, over here, over here, over here. I don't know where they are, and then they're in front of you.
Or behind you. Which
Or
is even worse.
Yeah. No, the game, I feel like they intentionally try to lull you to sleep. As you're doing all these detective type jobs, you kind of, in a sense, you almost kind of forget about how dangerous the ghosts can be. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, your flashlight starts flickering on and off. And maybe it's a poltergeist, and so items start getting thrown in the house and things like that. And so it can definitely make you jump, because it kind of gets you in a looser mood, and then all of a sudden you get hit by one of these mechanics, and it can definitely make you jump or yell or scream or whatever it might be.
I go in terrified from the beginning. Because the house is dark, you know it's haunted, you know there is a ticked off spirit in there that is not happy that you're there. And the atmosphere of the game is so good that this house, the second you walk in, there's even a very imperceptible audio cue. I don't know if you guys noticed, but when you walk in the door, there's almost this fog sound. So it's just this instantly this is suspenseful. And then you'll hear things creaking. The ghost doesn't even have to be super active. You'll just hear things. Something will bump. You'll hear a creak. Maybe it sounded like a door that partially closed or something like that. But then it'll progress a little bit to where you'll hear a door slam. And then you were like, yo, did you guys hear that? Or like we talked about earlier, a phone will just start ringing out of the blue, or a light will turn on or something like that. And so I like that progression of, it's just kind of spooky, and then it slowly gets to where, oh wait, there's some activity going on. And then that progresses to, now the ghost is angry, so they're actually going to hunt you. And that's where all the doors in the house slam and lock, so you can't get out. Your lights, your flashlights, which you're super dependent on, start flickering in and out. And then that, you're looking around going, what's going on? And then your blinking flashlight catches a glimpse of something, like the ghost, whether it's a creepy little baby kid or a guy with a meat cleaver or something like that. And it's coming at you. That is a scary moment, man.
We didn't get this far, but when you do, succumb to the ghost, when the ghost gets you, you see these fingers wrap around the edges of your screen, and then it just goes black. and then you wake up kind of as a ghost, and you can see what your friends are doing, but you can't interact with anything. So you can see them running around, you can see the ghost running around, and then it's just this, you're an observer in the afterlife.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer if you die, because you don't have much to do.
Yeah, but when the ghost starts to hunt, you can actually see the ghost, because since you're in the afterlife with the ghost now, you can actually see the ghost. Only during its like hunting phase, though. Otherwise, you'd just be able to tell your friends where it's at. But
right, and you can see it chase your friends, which is hilarious.
yeah.
Well, and if you die, you just see those fingers come around the screen, but to everyone else, they see the ghost choking you out.
Yeah.
And that's when you pull out your camera and you start snapping as many pictures as you can. This game is basically Pokemon Snap, Todd, which is why you and I love it. It's just a little more dark.
I do remember all three of us were huddled in a corner at the school, and then we hear the ghost, we see the ghost coming towards us, and no one moved.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, everyone ran when the ghost was on top of us, and then Josh was like, guys, I can't move. And then the fingers came on his screen, and then I turned around with the point and shoot camera and just started taking photos of the ghost just murdering Josh. And we got a lot of money for the photos, so it was worth it.
Yeah, $10 a picture.
Worth it.
Well worth it.
I was going to say, there is a little bit of progression in the equipment system. Like, this game is very rinse and repeat. It is, I guess we can touch on our thoughts on the longevity of it, but there is a progression in the sense that as you get money from successful missions of determining what type of ghost it was and then getting out alive, you can use that money to buy more advanced equipment. So whereas you'll start off with, a video camera, you can get like a head-mounted camera, or you can buy like motion sensors and sound sensors and things that tend to get a little bit more advanced. They get expensive. And if you die, you lose those. So there is that risk reward system there as well.
And that's the hard thing, is in the later stages, the risk when you're bringing hundreds of dollars of equipment, like we were in the asylum, just us three, even though it recommends 4. And we hit a point where we're like, the ghost jumps to hunting mode way too quick. We don't have it really nailed down where the ghost is. Let's just leave. It's not worth risking hundreds of dollars of equipment, which is 3 matches just to find the ghost. Like, let's just,
Cut and
live
run.
to fight another day, I guess. And then it was, I thought, hilarious. We all decided that. We ended, and then Paul's like, do you guys realize we just wasted 50 minutes?
Yeah.
It was a 50-minute match, and we all got $0 and 0 XP from that run. And sometimes that just happens.
Yeah.
And part of that's on us because we chose a huge map.
Yeah, a map larger than we should have for 3 people.
Is this
all right?
Go ahead. I was going to ask if
is
this game still considered early access? Is it a full release?
It is early access.
Is it? Okay. I was going to say there's, we'll talk about our opinions, but there's parts of this game that I love, and there's parts where I could see that they need to change a few things. And one of those things is these large stages that they introduce, like the high school and the asylum, sound like they'd be really great to do. You're like, oh, dude, I get to go, in an insane asylum. But it's like, it's more just a chore at that point. Like, maybe if they introduced a new ghost type or something, you know what I mean? Something beyond just it's a larger area.
Well, yeah. So, all right. That's all of the positive things we've said about the game. Let's recognize that Paul called it out before the episode started. This is a single dude creating this game,
which is incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Insane.
Kudos to that guy.
So let's move on to the latter half of this. What could this game do better?
Let you run.
You are so slow in this game.
Yes.
So slow.
So, I mean, it's part of that building the atmosphere. If you could just truck it around the house, that would really kind of break some of the suspense. So your walking speed is slow. And when you're in a house and you can only move very slowly and there's a ghost chasing you, that's scary. It has a run button. It's one of the keybinds, but there is an imperceptible difference.
Yeah.
3%.
3%?
Yeah, maybe 3.
It's under 10%.
I was going to...
percent.
At 3% sounds about exactly right because and yet I still hold the shift button the entire time I'm playing, but there's no difference at all. Yeah. So in those larger levels like the asylum or the high school, it's a slog. It'll take 5 minutes to walk down one corridor.
Because obviously they don't want you to be able to run around a corner and go hide in a closet during the hunting phase. I just don't know that the solution is let's make you walk 1 mile an hour for the entire game. There might be a more clever way to do it. So I'm definitely with Josh on that one. The walking speed is just terrible. The game also has some very goofy stuff. I don't know how else to describe it. Like if you're looking at another character who's looking up, their character just kind of bends back at a 45-degree angle, and it does not look natural. So
it's comedy.
It's
you just
high
don't
comedy.
Understand comedy.
Yeah, if it was supposed to be comedy, yeah, then that would be fine.
Nailed it.
A game that is supposed to be so humorless and serious like this game is supposed to be, it's very goofy to see someone walking around at physics that don't make any sense.
45-degree back-breaking angles.
Yeah, it's very goofy. And why is it that after every match, if you're grouped up, it randomly decides who the next group leader is? So if Josh hosts the game and we join him and we finish, we're all just sitting around and Josh is like, oh, well, someone needs to pick a map. I'm not the leader. None of us know who the leader are, and we just have to figure it out.
Yeah, that's weird.
So that could be like early access type stuff. I'm not going to kill the game for that. But also to join a game lobby, you have to enter a code, and you can't just type it on your keyboard. You have to click a fake numlock pad on the screen. And again, I'm just like, why are you making this irritating? Like, why do I walk so slow? Why do I have to click these numbers?
110%. I clicked the buttons every single time. I never tried to type. Paul, I did not know that was a bug or like that wasn't there because I never tried.
Paul complained about that, and then I went, oh, I always just click the buttons on the screen. So and then he was like, what? He was like, you don't type them in? And I was like, nah, man, I always just click them. And he was like, well, they don't, you can't type them in anyway.
That's funny. For me, there's something more inherent about this game that I don't like. And there's no like rewarding feeling for figuring out the ghost, for taking the photos, for doing all that stuff. Basically, at the end of the round, you click, you put in your journal what ghost you think it is. You click the button and you leave, and then you hit a stat screen, and then it's like, you're right, you get $10 for figuring it out. And I'm like, cool, I just spent 40 minutes, and like, that's not a lot of reward to it.
Yeah.
It'd be like way more cool to, Ghostbusters intro to like have, if you got it right, to have like an epic moment where you suck the ghost into a vacuum or like whatever, to have some very rewarding thing for you getting it right. The satisfaction of winning this game is, oh, I get a couple more dollars so I can buy more gear, so I can do the same thing, so I can buy more gear. Like, there's no difference, like, satisfaction-wise, if I just leave a game or if I win the game. Like, it's fine.
It's the same screen.
Either way. It's scary.
I agree with that 100%.
You play the game for spooky, and then if you win or you lose, it's still spooky.
What they need to do is let you, once you figure out what the ghost is, there should be a phase where you then hunt the ghost. And if you got it
you try
right,
and capture it.
Right. If you got it right, then you can capture it, and that would be a really neat sequence to go through. And if you got it wrong, like you guessed wrong, then, maybe you die or something like that. Like that would be
because
cool.
Then that's high stakes.
Right.
Like that puts all your gear on the line. That makes you double, triple, quadruple check that you got the ghost right. Because right now, if you got it wrong, big deal. Who cares? Like, I lose a little bit of money. But yeah, Josh, I completely agree. If there is some sort of reward system, or like, you start hunting the ghost instead, but you have to choose the right class of ghost that you're hunting, like, that's where this game would be on the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's also not very much progression from match to match. You do have your running money and your running inventory, but the only real stuff that you unlock is as your character levels, you gain access to previously locked items. But once you hit level 8, you've unlocked everything. And I think you hit level 8 after maybe 2 to 3 hours of play. And so you do unlock everything rather quickly. And so at that point, it's almost kind of like, well, what is driving me to keep playing? If you're already kind of tired of the atmosphere, there's nothing that keeps you driving to play. You've already kind of seen everything. Once you've used a parabolic mic a few times, all right, well, that's cool. But I don't know why I would keep playing unless you just love the atmosphere.
Yeah. And you play because it's spooky. You play because of friends reacting and jumping. Like, the first time that a ghost got me, like, you can see on our Twitch, I think it's a recorded video, I close my eyes and take off my headset because I just don't want to be there. And then I wait for like 3-4 seconds and then put my headphones on and open up my eyes and I'm dead. And that's because, like, it genuinely scared me the first time it killed me. We set our pros, we set our cons, we explained the game. Paul, what does the community think about the game?
Yeah, so Phasmophobia is available on Steam, and I grabbed a couple of reviews off there. I think you guys will enjoy these. The first review that I'm going to read here was a positive review. I was being chased by the ghost. I hid in a closet. I had to fart. My mic picked up my fart, and I died.
Oh, my goodness.
That's one mechanic we haven't talked about too much, is how you do have an open mic. And so if you make noise in the game, it's not just your buddies that can hear you, it's also the ghost. And so when you're hiding, you're supposed to be quiet. Otherwise, if you make noise, that ghost might get driven to you.
Oh, and we forgot the biggest thing. The ghosts have names, and if you say the names, it upsets the ghosts.
Yeah.
So if you walk around saying the name of the ghost, like, you can set it off so it starts raging early on.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when you start off each match, they tell you the name of the ghost, and you can use that to your advantage. If you're having trouble finding the ghost, maybe you say its name a couple times, it might spark some activity, but if you say it too much, you're gonna get got.
Gonna get got.
All right, next review here is a positive review. My teammates left me in a room. I saw a deformed child running at me and disappeared. Spent the next 5 minutes sitting in a corner with a crucifix. Highly recommend.
10 out
right.
of 10. Oh my goodness. There was a time, it was the time that the child was chasing Josh around the countertop, you snapping photos, you guys both left, and I'm like, where are you guys? I lost my flashlight because I accidentally threw it. And then you guys were like, where are you? And I'm like, I ran upstairs because I was scared. And then I had to find my way downstairs in the dark, which was terrifying.
And that shows why you can't make fun of horror movies when you say, why would they run upstairs when there's a killer? Because that's what happens.
Yeah.
You throw your flashlight and you just kind of freak out and run. It happens. All right, next review here is a positive review. 12 out of 10. You can take pictures of a spirit wearing a butcher's smock standing ominously over your friend as they choke up and collapse on the floor dead. That picture evidence is a solid $10 in the bank. Sure, your friend's life may only be worth a Big Mac meal and some nuggets, but that McDonald's is going to taste so sweet on the drive back to headquarters as you reminisce about the friend whose body you left in that abandoned high school.
Nailed it.
Yep. And we've done that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. All right. Got 2 last reviews here. This next one is a negative review. I don't like ghosts. My friends made me play this. Product refunded.
At least he's honest.
Yeah.
Did he not know the name
I was
going to
say, like,
the game?
Yeah, I think it was just someone who, got suckered into buying it and they weren't a fan. I always try to grab at least one negative review if most are positive. All right, and then the last one, I thought this was a really fair review that I think you guys will like, even though it's a little bit longer. It's positive. Playing solo, I load up the school map for the first time. I stop and appreciate how big and unnerving the map is. I check my equipment, I look around some more. I realize that I'm putting off going any further. The phone down the hall rings. After changing my pants, I start to hunt down where the ringing came from. All the way down the hall, huh? But the front door is all the way over here, and, oh, fine. I track down the room, pull out the EMF reader, which immediately jumps to 5. I throw down my book, ask the ghost to write in it. Well, what came out was, okay, do the thing, hurry up. Then sort of moonwalk my way back down the hall while chanting variations of, nope. One Alt F4 later, and I'm here writing this review. Nothing even happened. I simply psyched myself out. Now that's a horror game.
And that's what this game does. Honestly, that if you're willing, if you can do what Paul said, if you can do the suspension of disbelief, if you can say, look, this is a scary game and I want to enjoy this game. I want to be scared. This game can scare the tar out of you, man. Like, yep. It really can.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go into it like, har, like, this is dumb, it's not scary, then guess what? Like, you're not going to be scared. It's a video game, right? But it's the mindset that you go into it with that is going to determine what you get out of it.
Absolutely.
All right. Was that all the reviews?
That was all the reviews, and now that I remember, we're also supposed to guess the percentage of positive reviews.
I thought Paul was going to pull out another one there. Like,
yeah, I noticed that was a little bit of a longer pause, and I'm like, "Come on, Todd, what are you waiting on?" And, oh yeah, this is me. All right, so what percentage of reviews on Steam do you think are positive? Our last winner was Josh.
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah, so what's your guess, buddy?
There's not a lot to dislike about this game, especially for being early access. I'm going to go high. I'm going to say 93%.
All right. 93 for Josh. What about you, Todd?
I think there's going to be a couple haters that are like, man, this is early access and blah, 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 blah. The moon isn't as reflective as normal.
No ray tracing.
No ray tracing. What am I supposed to use my 2080 on? I've been waiting years. I'm going to go 88.
All right. My guess was 84. I thought there would be some more haters simply because you spend a lot of time kind of doing nothing. The actual is 97%.
Oh,
what?
Wow. I mean, I'm glad I won, but I didn't think it was going to be that high.
Yeah, this is one of the highest we've covered. 97% of reviews are positive.
I think this game weeds out people who won't like it before they even buy it. If you don't like scary games, you're not going to buy a scary game. Like, it is very obvious what this game is, and it delivers on that. So it makes sense that it's so high.
I won again, boys. That's 2 in a row.
2 in a row.
All right, Josh, lead us into the next segment.
Murder. So it was a ghost.
Red
game,
rum.
guys. You know,
Red rum.
make love, marry, or murder. And this is where we get to say what we think about this game. And this is a make love for me. Easy peasy, it's a make love. This game is insanely fun for a certain period of time. And then it's going to just go, you're just going to go, yep, I've kind of seen it all. I've had all the scares. It starts to lose a little bit of its scariness after you're susceptible to that for a little while. I mean, it is amazingly scary for a while, but then that you're just going to get numb to that after a little bit. And then the gameplay part of it is going to come into play, and that will get old quickly, in my opinion. So that's why I think it's a phenomenal make love, but nothing else for me.
Paul?
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a make love game. It's very fun for a few hours. Nothing that I would want to play for 20 hours plus. And it was so much fun to learn this game together. I think if you jump in with veterans, it might not be as good. I really liked the fact that Josh had only played 1 or 2 sessions, and then I jumped in with him, and then Todd jumped in. I feel like we kind of learned it together. But at the same time, it's also not a game designed for me. As much as I would love to just jump in this game, I'm exactly that kind of person Josh is talking about before. I have trouble setting aside, my own mindset of this is kind of a silly video game. And so I kind of default to more messing with Josh and saying the ghost's name and just kind of making fun of it. And that's just kind of my way to subvert the game. But that I almost feel like we all love Parks and Rec. I think it might actually be a deleted scene, but I love when Perd Hapley is reviewing E.T. and he says, it's a heartwarming tale, but ultimately I found it unrealistic, which is why I'm giving it 2 stars. And I kind of feel like that's me. Like, I have trouble buying into what you're supposed to do, but it's still great. I really enjoyed the first 4 to 5 hours, and then it started to get a little lackluster, but it was still very fun in the beginning.
All right, for me, yeah, I mean, you guys are right. It's make love. For me, this game is an October game. I could see us not playing it all year. Halloween comes around, all the scary movies get on Netflix, everyone goes into like let's find stuff that scares us, and then we play it for the month of October. Then November 1st comes, and then we're like, yeah, I'm done with it. Like, I don't want to play it anymore. Like, I'll put it in a bin, put it on the shelf, and then save it for next year. And as long as the game stays updated and I can run it on my computer, it's perfect for that. All right, and then it comes to the question: is it worth the price? $13.99.
Yeah, it's worth the price. It's worth a few hours of fun. That's not unreasonable task for $14.
Yeah.
Especially in COVID, like you're not going to go to a haunted house because of, masks or all of the stuff.
It's scarier if you go right now. You could argue. You could argue it's never been more effective.
Oh, but yeah, this game's great. It'll scare you.
It's for $14, the experiences you're going to have before this game starts to get old for you, if it gets old for you. I mean, I could see some people liking this game long term, but well worth the money. Do yourself a favor, spend the $14, scare yourself senseless.
I feel like we cover this in some games. $14 by yourself or $28 for you and a friend. Would you pay $28 if you had a friend that, couldn't afford it or whatnot?
Kind of depends if you're Mr. Moneybags, I guess.
Like, this game's terrifying solo. Like, I don't want to go into the house solo. Like, I got this game from my daughter. I mean, one of the nice things is for a scary game, it's a very clean game. Like, there's no blood, there's no anything that...
No profanity.
Right. I mean, a kid could play this game. I mean, it's going to be really scary. My daughter loves it, man. Like, she absolutely loves it. She loves the suspense. It freaks her out, but she won't play by herself because it's too scary for her to go into the house by herself. Whereas if I go in with her, you have that comfort of knowing that, like, at least there's another person in here with me, like 50-50 chance that maybe they're going to die and not me. Right. I don't know that I would buy it for a friend. as much as talk them into buying it. So
yeah, I would talk them into it. I wouldn't pay $28.
All right. That's fair. All right. Let's go to the leaderboard, see where this game stacks up. All right, guys, this is the part of the show where we take this game, Phasmophobia, and we rank it against the 31 other games we've reviewed on this podcast. That's a lot of games, guys.
That's a lot. I didn't think we'd still be doing the podcast after 31. We've already outlived my expectations.
Oh, well, that's good, I guess.
That's a lot of games.
Here's to 31 more. That's all I'm saying.
Here.
So we're taking this game, we're putting it up against all 31 other games and seeing where it ranks. We have Overwatch number 1 and Overcooked 2 at number 31. Oof. That's a fine game, but we only cover good games, I guess. So
we've covered Halo Reach. You can't say that, Todd.
Yeah.
How dare you, sir?
We've really fallen off the Halo sucks jokes, but maybe it's time to start bringing them back. It's been a while.
Okay, RimWorld is pretty low on the list, Paul. Just saying.
Yep.
All right, RimWorld's 20. Are we going high or low?
I'd go higher than RimWorld.
I'd go lower than RimWorld, but you guys know how much I love that game. I would put it exactly below RimWorld if it were me. To me, Phasmophobia is fun, but for me, it's the last game out of all the games that I find fun. So I would put it below RimWorld, and then after that, we have GTFO, Fall Guys, Tarkov. Those are all games I found to be not fun.
Remember when we made Paul play all those games and he hated it?
Yeah, it was the
Yep.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
It was a lot of worst of times.
I think it's funny. I would almost put this right under GTFO because GTFO is a little scary, but like there's a lot of action with it and suspense and like there's more emotions and it's harder and all of those things. Like for me, this game is very similar to GTFO, but it has more mechanics and like more to explore than GTFO, or than GTFO has that more than this game does, which like you have weapon choices, you have all these different things, like different play styles, different maps where there's some where you have to go forward and then back and then forward and back. And then this game is kind of all the same. So I would put it right under GTFO at 22.
And you know what? GTFO has very slow mechanics of playing that game, but it's not boring. Phasmophobia can have entire rounds where you just kind of look back and it was like, wow, that was actually a really boring match. So I can almost agree there with Todd. I think that's almost exactly where it belongs, though, on our list of 1 to 31. I'm putting it below, like at 17, we have A Way Out, and then Payday 2, Valorant, RimWorld. I'd put it below all that, but pretty close to those.
I agree with you 100%, Todd. I think I'd rather play GTFO because it's got more gameplay value to it. Yeah, I think it's perfect. Honestly, it's a good call. I'd put it right under GTFO as well.
I'm cool with that.
Done. Lock it in. I did a locking motion for the viewers.
What's a lock
like
motion? Is that like a padlock, like where you clamp it down? Is it a combo lock where you spin it?
Mine was a bar. I don't know what you lock with, like a lever.
Do you lock
like an e-brake?
Levers? Oh, okay.
Like
so you pulled the brake.
Lock it.
Break
Pump the brakes.
Break it down.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, Phasmophobia, number 22. Not bad. I feel like that sounds low, but like Todd mentioned, most of our games are fun and playable. It's worth checking out, especially for the price.
All right, well, that wraps up the leaderboard segment for our show today. If you want to view all of our rankings, you can find them on our site, multiplayerpodcast.com. If you're interested in finding out more information about us, you can find us on our website. I just said it. It's multiplayerpodcast.com. We have everything there. It's a hub for the multiplayer podcast experience. There's a shop where you can find mugs with Paul's face on them. There's shirts that have our logo on them. Is that selling it? I feel like that's selling it.
That's selling it.
There's our leaderboard, and then there's links to our Patreon and, everything from there. Speaking of Patreon, you can find our Patreon site. If you want to go straight there, just bypass the website. You can go to our Patreon, multiplayersquad.com, and then you can find us on any and all of the socials /multiplayerpod.
Come check it out.
I'll miss you guys. Till Thursday.
We're about to play some games right after this, Todd, so...
They don't know
don't
that.
talk to me.
Ugh.
Don't talk to me till Thursday. All right. See you guys.
All right. See you, everybody.
You guys have anything for the outro?
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
Phasmophobia.